Okay. Thank you and good morning, and hope you had a nice night's rest. This morning, I'll be presenting on COVID-19 pandemic, investigating the psychological impact of remote teaching on teachers and lecturers generally. Why am I doing this? Maybe I just give you a little bit about myself. I'm a quantity surveyor, like a building surveyor, meaning that as this building is, I could go on and do some calculation and tell you how much it's going to cost to build this. So that's what I teach at the university. So I've been working in the industry for over 20 years. So 2019, I decided to go back into the academic. So about 3 or 5 months into my academic life, COVID struck. And in my professional life, normally out of 5 days a week, I'm either on site 4 days or going from one meeting to the other. So I'm not the kind of person that sits in the office. So going back to the academic was still okay for me because I was really with students very well. So when COVID came, it was completely a different ballgame entirely for me. So that was actually what brought about this project. So that's just a little bit background about it so that you can get that as we go along. And the first question here is the COVID pandemic events. What is it? I call it unprecedented events. And I have a quote here from the Bible, which says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 2, which says that you know very well that the day when the Lord comes again will be a surprise, like a thief who comes at night. That's exactly how COVID came to us. Nobody, I think, I say nobody can ever imagine that there will be an event that will run the whole world at the same time, that you will not be able to fly, you will not be able to go out of your house. We think, oh, that can never happen. But it came and it happened. The question is, are we prepared? The answer is, I don't think so. We never prepared for it, but it came, but we had to deal with it. Before COVID, this is how my class used to be. Normally, I sit with students, we interact, go up and down. So because what I teach is more of practical. I have to show you the drawing to be able to measure the drawing, to get the quantity and get the prices. So we interact a lot as part of my work before COVID. Another one also in another classroom, we have some setting like this, which shows that we normally have that interaction before COVID. But what happened then is after COVID, this is what I got. Because after COVID, what we had to do is, the moment we had a lockdown, everybody have to go online. My university, we don't do online teaching at all before COVID. Everything is face-to-face because that was how the university was set up. So going online was completely a new thing for everybody. So of course, we do flip learning that you can record students go back, but still, they still have to come to class and do practical work. So personal contact with students is always part of what we do. So during the COVID, we had to have this, whereby I sit in a box room, in my room in the house. I have students on the other side of the screen with no picture, but just their initials. So I'll be talking as if I'm working in a radio station, because when you work in a radio station, you are not expecting anybody to talk back to you. Just talk and let them listen, which I was not used to. And all of a sudden, I started discovering that, oh, there's a problem here. Of course, I had family, I have my children, I have my wife, so I can finish there, talk to them. But if I could still feel that way, even despite I have people I can talk to when I finished lecture, I was now wondering what would have happened for those that haven't got family, because we have lecturers that they are all alone. So, and that was one of the reasons why this came up. And this is just comparing the two before COVID and during COVID, the way the lecture, you can see the difference, because having personal interaction with the students, and all of a sudden, that interaction was no longer there. So what happened then? are we prepared for this? What I can say was that lecturers generally, especially in my university, physically, we were prepared, materially, we're ready, because easily you can turn your PowerPoints online, you can send it, you can upload it online for students. So we have all the material ready, and we have all, physically also, we thought we were ready. But psychologically, we're not thinking about this, because we thought, oh, why do I need to think about psychology? Until when it happens. So the question now is, why is this? The first thing is that as I said earlier, in my university, this is the first time that we'll be doing remote teaching, because we don't do distance learning. Every student has to come to classroom. It's compulsory, it's part of the curriculum, you have to be there to study. And also we have what I call technological challenge, because we have some lecturers that they've been doing this for maybe 20 years. All of a sudden, we now want them to start going online to do things. So that challenge was also there as part of the issue that can bring about the psychological impact. And the what are the psychological and mental health issues that can arise? Anxiety is one of them, depression, nightmares, even increased anger, because I could remember a day after finishing lecture, I came out and my son came, oh, daddy, I just said, no, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. But after doing that, I said, oh, what are you doing here? This boy doesn't know what has just gone wrong with you. So I have to call myself to order, but these are things that can happen, because I found myself in an environment where I was not prepared for psychologically. And there was even a day that I had to ask the student, my students, say, oh, when you all come to class next week, online class, I want you, all of you, to make sure that you put on your camera. The problem with that in the UK was that it's not, you can't force students to do that. They have to do, because the lecture we recorded, they have to do it willingly. So, and surprisingly, after requesting for that, it means that, because 9 o'clock lecture most of the time, so you have to maybe dress up in the morning, wake up, and so some of them did, and even after that lecture, I could see the difference, because I could relate with them face to face. So this is just some of the issue, and these are my colleagues. One thing that we did normally, even during the COVID, was in my department, we normally meet every once a week, not to talk about academic work, just talk about what's going on in your life, what is going on. So just to talk generally, not about student, because then we believe that, oh, I think we need to look after ourselves now. Before, we've been doing all we need to do to get the student on track to make sure that they didn't lose anything. But now it's us trying to look after ourselves, because if we don't do, the student might be there, you might not be here to teach them. So, and we do this every week. And this is just a part of the classroom when, after the school maybe start after the lockdown have been lifted. So this is how the classroom is now looking. And in terms of the method I use for this is quantitative research method, because what I was just trying to do was, I just need to check, am I the only one that is going through this? And I did this within the school, because we have about 5 different schools or troops. In some university, you call it faculty, but we call it school in us. So we have about 5. In my school, we have about 280 staff. So this questionnaire was distributed among the 280 staff to actually check and see whether it's just only me that is going through this. But surprisingly, it wasn't only me at the end of the day. So, and after I administered the administration of the questionnaire, then I used relative importance index to do the simple analysis that I did. And what's the outcome of this was that actually stress was number 1, which, having looked at it, I say, wait, I don't think that is out of order but what I was quite surprised about was the fact that anxiety was like maybe 5, because I would have thought that would be one of the things there. But deterioration to physical health, because I thought from the beginning, oh, we were ready physically. Actually, it appears we're not, because if I go back to myself, that's 4 days out of 5 days a week, I'm always on the road, on site, talking to people. All of a sudden, I found myself sitting down almost all day. Of course, you can have some breaks. So definitely I start having some back pain myself personally. So I knew that too. That's actually it's right. So it means that I'm not the only one in this. We have other people that are involved. Also, the other one is we look at the psychological effect also. Anxiety before starting lecture, that is, you are anxious that, oh, I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't know if there will be students that will turn up, because you can start a lecture at times that you just see students, they log on and you say, oh, are you there? You call the name, are you there? Nobody is there to answer you, to respond to you. And you just feel down. Am I? Because the kind of lecture I gave is more practical, that I have to see you doing something. But on this occasion, online, it's very difficult to do. And so anxiety before starting lecture was on the list, and difficult in concentrating, because your brain will just be working almost non-stop, thinking of what can I do to change this scenario? What can I do? And I can say this, that most people that are lecturing, or teacher, you don't do it because of money. You do it because of the passion that you have for it. Because I can tell you, if I want to do by profession, if I'm in the industry, the salary I earn as a lecturer, I will earn double the same amount that is in the industry. So it's the passion that makes you to come. And so difficult in concentrating on job is just because of the fact that you are thinking of, oh, how can I make things better? This is not going well with this student, because we are always thinking of students, whatever we do. And so this is just one of the things that came up, was that if the students were able to actually put on their cameras, to actually affect me positively as a lecturer. And that's one of the things that the result that came up. Okay, these are my colleagues. And or alternatively, if they cannot put on the camera, of course, everybody, if you have Facebook accounts, you have your picture there. If I see your picture, I can relate with you. I think this is similar to the picture book that we listened to yesterday. I can relate with that because I know this person. So instead of having initials, you could actually have your picture on there. And actually about 65% of the respondents actually agreed to that actually that will support them, that will help them, their mental health. Because if you can see the picture, okay, I know this student, this is this person, even if it's not there, but you can relate to that picture rather than just the initial. And just in conclusion, the psychological effect of remote teaching is real, it's very real. And from this research, from this simple research, that student leaving camera on during lecture should be encouraged where it is legal, because as I said, in the UK, everything you have to go through some legal approval before you can actually do certain things. So, and where this is not possible, students should be encouraged to have their still image photo, that is, put your picture there instead of the initial alone. I think that also has a better way of helping. So the use of just your initial there should be discouraged. As I said earlier, 65% of the respondents actually agreed to this. And one thing that this has brought up, because it was a simple and small portion of the university that I surveyed. So after this result, I actually presented to the university community in my report, and they're actually funding the nationwide. When I say nationwide, I think we're doing this in the whole of UK now to see. But of course, we might say, well, COVID has come and gone, but it has not come and gone, because any other thing can happen. So this is the time that we can start preparing ourselves in going forward. So at the moment, we are working on a larger survey to actually see whether the Of course, I will expect the result to be different slightly, but the impact will still be there. And that is where we are at the moment. Thank you for your time, and I can take any question.